What's your reaction to going back to the Dodgers?
Well, I'm definitely excited. It's going to be fun. You know, that's where obviously I'm from. It'd be a little bit more easier if I could live in my house, but I can't. So, you know, picked the wrong year to have my fourth child, and I was running out of space in my house in California. So it's a place I want to be when I retired. So we decided to do an addition. Didn't try to have the fourth kid. So hotel for now and see what happens. So.
Joe, what is the feel as I know you're looking forward to the Dodgers and what they're doing, but you guys came into spring training with so much hope, and now, you know, 5 key guys are you know, kind of gone, understandably, with the direction they're going, but what does that feel like for this situation?
Yeah, I mean, it's a funny business, right? It's baseball, and, you know, you could write it all out, put it on paper, and it looks great. You know, ultimately, you know, we as players got ourselves in this situation that, you know, why we're having this press conference, you know, why Lance has talked, why Graves has talked, why Lofi, why Gio. You know, we just didn't play good enough, and you know, it's not like, you know, there's no hard feelings. You know, I want to thank the organization for, you know, taking me on, and, you know, I pitched as well as I could every time out. You know, it might not have been great, but yeah, it's one of those things where if that's your job, you know, it's a tough business. You kind of have to disconnect from the relationship with the player, and, you know, when other teams want guys, and, you know, you have an opportunity to make your club better for the future. It's something that, you know, if I would ever have that role in baseball, it's something that, you know, I would do. You know, I have a little bit less empathy than most people, so it wouldn't really hurt my feelings. But you know, it's baseball, and you know, it's a win for both teams.
How about joining a pennant race?
What's that?
How about joining a pennant race right now?
Yeah, it's gonna be exciting. You know, it's looking back in my career, 11 seasons. I think I've missed the playoffs 3 years, so it's and those years are tough, right? You go home early, you get to watch baseball on TV. Most of the guys that, if you play long enough, you know in the league, so you get to watch them, you know, competing at the highest level at the end. So it's something that, you know, I thrive on. You know, I think my personality type is, you know, love the adrenaline, love the big moments. So I'm super stoked to go back for sure.
You alluded to the results that the White Sox have had this year. What kind of state do you think the clubhouse and the team is in moving forward as you depart?
Well, obviously, clubhouse now. It'd be dumb to say anything different. It's obviously shocked. You know, but some of these young guys have never seen something like this happen. You know, for myself, I've been traded before. I've seen a team, you know, get kind of, you know, I'm not going to put, you know, completely blown up, but, you know, when there's the right pieces to move at the right time, I've seen teams do it. I've been part of that. And, you know, it's a learning experience, like I said, from young guys, old guys in there. And hopefully it's something that, you know, those guys could take, and it should hurt a little bit, obviously. But hopefully they could go in there and realize, like, hey, like, this is what baseball is if you don't perform. You know, hopefully, I'm not trying to, like, you know, scare, you know, the guys in there, but most of them are young, and now you see, you know, this is what it is. So you got to play well, and, you know, when you're predicted to play well and you don't, this is what the, you know, the consequences are of that. So they'll be good, though. You know, there's a lot of great young talent. You know, obviously with these trades, there's going to be great young talent coming back. So they should not be down and kind of be excited, and, you know, kind of flush this. Obviously, when the trade deadline's over, it's not over yet, but you know, when they get the group of guys who they're going to play with the rest of the year, I'm sure there'll be talks or you know, how we're going to approach the rest of the season as these guys and as a team. But yeah, there's going to be some excitement for the kids coming up, but obviously, like I said, hopefully it's a learning experience all around for everyone.
What kind of hands is this team in with Pedro at the helm?
Pedro's great. You know, we've had multiple conversations where, you know, obviously we're not where you wanted to be with record and performance, and, you know, I don't want to say I joked around because obviously this is serious, but I mean, I had a first-year manager, and I said, you know, I've had a couple first-year managers who, you know, didn't get put in the situations, you know, that you have. Obviously, we had, you know, all the hopes in the world for the playoffs and stuff, and, you know, I'm not saying it's over, it's never over, but you know, I got up as a young guy, played for, you know, Mike Matheny, and went to the playoffs right away. You know, went to another first-year manager with Alex Cora. won the World Series. So I always mess with Pedro, like, hey man, you weren't fortunate enough to get those first 2 jobs and make it to the class, but hey, it's baseball. Not everyone gets that lucky. So it's definitely going to be a learning experience for him too, and he'll replay the season like I'm sure he does every night at home, and that's what you do as a manager. And I'm not going to say I've been a manager, but I've coached, and even if it's kids where I look back and I'm like, dang, I should have done that, or should have took that young pitcher out earlier, or even my son, I should have yanked him earlier, and stuff like that. So it's going to be a year where he learns a ton for sure, and it's some that he'll get better for, and he'd admit it too. So all around, everyone's gonna get better, and you're in good hands for sure.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Joe.
Joe.
Good luck.